the voltage across the resistance, right? And now if I want to find out the current here, one can see here the current in terms of the milliampere range across the two ends of the diode, right? You can see here some current is there. Okay, now if I want to join this resistance in reverse bias, then what will I do? I'll simply take it out and I'll join it in the reverse bias, that is battery positive to PN junction negative, and one can have the readings as well. But as you may see that there is a very small amount of current in reverse bias. Actually it should be in the microampere order, and one can see that it also varies, right? Why? Because in the microampere in the reverse bias, whenever the diode is joined into the reverse bias, the depletion region width is very small, and one can have a very small amount of current due to the leakage of the electrons. Why leakage? Because no majority charge carriers are allowed to move through the n-type material to the p-type material. But at the time of the reverse bias, due to some thermally generated electrons, there will be some very small number of electrons which are able to move from n-type material to the p-type material, and one can get a very small amount of current in the outer circuit, right? That is called the leakage current. Now as we can see in the slide, there is a forward bias region in the VI characteristics of the diode. Actually one can form the VI characteristics by two way. Either one can take V on the x-axis and I on the y-axis, or one can take I on the x-axis and V on the y-axis. We have taken the current as the function of the voltage here, and one can see here the forward bias region on the first quadrant of the graph. Cumulatively in all four quadrants one can draw the graph, and we have drawn the forward bias region as the first quadrant and the reverse bias region as the third region. Now we can see here that up to a particular point the current depends upon the voltage linearly. As the source voltage varies, the diode voltage varies and the current varies. Now after a certain point one can see that there is a sudden increase in current, and that is due to the threshold, the sufficient energy gained by the electrons to move from valence band to conduction band, and that point, that voltage is known as V cut-in or V threshold. Up to V cut-in, the diode is acting passively. Why passively? Because due to the external field, external forward bias, the diode is giving some current. But after a certain limit, after V cut-in, diode is acting actively, and one can have a large amount of current in the output, right? So diode can be used as an on-off switch in very difficult circuits. One can find out the resistance of the VI characteristics, resistance of the diode, using the slope of the characteristics curve in the active region. And in the active region, if I find out the slope, it shows that it is actually the static or it is actually the dynamic resistance of the diode, right? The line which is shown here cutting the curve, that is known as the load line. One can find out the load line using VOC and ISC, that is by connecting the load resistance as 0 or infinity into the outer output of the diode. So one can have the corresponding voltage and current which are corresponding to RL equal to 0 and RL equal to infinity, and using this one can find out these two values on the V and I curves of V and I axis of that particular VI characteristics, and joining those 2 points one can get the intersection between this line, this linear line, and the curve, and the intersecting point between these two lines is known as the quenching point Q of the diode. At that point the diode gives the maximum power. Actually, in the forward bias region, one can also find out the static resistance of the diode using Vs and Is. In your further studies, in your second level or third level BE, you may study the DC load line and the AC load line, but here in your first level it is sufficient to know this much. Now in third quadrant, coming back to the reverse bias region, the saturation current is shown here. As I told you that the saturation current, or say the leakage current, is due to the thermally generated minority charge carriers, and some minority charge carriers, they get sufficient energy due to the temperature, and they are able to tunnel through the barrier, the potential barrier. At a particular temperature, this number of minority charge carriers is constant, and due to that, at a particular temperature, the amount of such leakage current is constant, that is again independent of the input voltage that we are giving, independent of the reverse bias voltage, and that's why this current is saturated, and that's why this current is known as saturated current Is. At a particular value, there is a sudden breakdown occurs, or say the covalent bonds are ruptured due to the external reverse bias value, and that is called the reverse breakdown, and that voltage is called VBR, or breakdown voltage. Due to this, there is a sudden breakdown, and in a simple normal PN junction diode, this breakdown is of the order of 150 volt. So whenever we do this characteristics in the laboratory, we generally observe the saturation current, right? Here is another type of the diode. Actually, when we construct the PN junction diode, we just take care of the amount of impurity that we are adding inside the PN junction diode, and whenever this amount of impurity added is increased up to a certain level, there will be a change in the characteristics of this breakdown point. So whenever there is a breakdown, the breakdown voltage VBR depends upon the value of that particular doping. And now there is a typical diode in which this doping level is very much high, is the Zener diode. As you can see, it is the picture of the Zener diode shows that there is a black line on one end that shows the cathode of the Zener diode, and here is again the characteristics, or say the circuit of the Zener diode. One can see here it is one and the same circuit as we have done, but there is a change in this diode symbol. This shows the symbol of the Zener diode. Now how can we designate the Zener diode in the laboratory? That we can see here. We have Zener diode here in the circuit. Circuit, one can see here we are joining the Zener diode in the reverse bias condition, because the forward bias condition of the reverse of the Zener diode, it shows one and the same characteristics as the PN junction diode, and as we are joining it in the reverse bias, one can have a closer look that the black side shows the cathode of the Zener diode, so we will join it with the positive of the battery. One solution to this constant power supply is that one can also join the variable resistance, or say rheostat, to this circuit, right? And one can see the current here in the multimeter, that in the reverse bias initially there is a very small current, but if we join it to measure the voltage, one can measure the voltage across the Zener diode. As I have supplied the voltage which is very constant, which is above the breakdown voltage of the Zener diode, one can see a constant value of the voltage across the diode, right? And also we can measure the current across the Zener diode, which is of the order of micrometer, and one can have the value as well. Okay, so now we should understand the characteristics of the Zener diode in the graph. As I have told you, the characteristic says that it has the forward current of say a value starting from 0, and the forward current is one and the same as the PN junction diode. But since the Zener diode has a higher doping level, it has a very small very high tendency to be broken down with a very small amount of reverse bias value. So one can find in the market having 3 volt or 5 volt or 8 volt Zener diode having the Zener breakdown voltage, and one can see here the leakage current. The leakage mechanism is one and the same as the Zener mechanism, as the PN junction diode mechanism, but as the breakdown occurs very fast, one can have the reverse voltage reverse current at very smaller value of the reverse bias voltage. That voltage is known as Zener voltage or reverse breakdown voltage. Okay, one can find out the resistance, Zener resistance in the reverse bias voltage after the breakdown occurs, and one can find out this resistance using V by I, the Ohm's law. Okay, now I'll show a video which shows the real formation of the PN junction diode.
PN junction and diodes. To increase the practical utility of a P or N-type semiconductor, a PN junction is created in the semiconductor crystal. Here, one half is P-type and the other is N-type. PN junction is the arrangement obtained when a P-type semiconductor is joined to an N-type semiconductor. Displayed here is a PN junction. Immediately after it is formed, the P region contains holes which are mobile and negatively charged impurity ions, which are immobile, and the N region contains positively charged impurity ions, which are immobile and mobile electrons. Many electronic devices use PN junctions. PN junction. As soon as a PN junction is formed, electrons from N-type material and holes from P-type material diffuse into P-type and N-type material respectively. The electrons and holes diffusing towards each other combine near the junction. Each recombination eliminates an electron and a hole. As a result, the positive donor ions in the N region and the negative acceptor ions in the P region are left uncompensated, and this region forms the depletion region. The region of a PN junction containing the uncompensated acceptor and donor ions is known as the depletion region. This region is named so because it is depleted of mobile charge carriers. The holes trying to enter the P region are repelled by the uncompensated positive charge on the donor ions, and the electrons trying to enter the N region are repelled by the uncompensated negative charge on the acceptor ions. As a result, potential difference is established across the junction. Soon, it becomes large enough to prevent any further movement of charge carriers. This is called potential barrier or junction barrier or height of the barrier. From the figure, you can clearly see that the potential barrier VO that is set up gives rise to an electric field that prevents the respective majority carriers from crossing the barrier region. Now, let us see what happens when the negative terminal of the battery is connected to P-type region and positive terminal to the N-type region. Observe whether there is any deflection in the ammeter. As no current flows through the circuit, the ammeter reading is 0. This is because the negative electrons in the N-type region get attracted to the positive terminal of the battery, and the positive holes in the P-type silicon get attracted to the negative terminal of the battery. That is, the reverse bias removes the majority carriers, thus increasing the potential barrier. Current flows through the junction if the PN junction is connected to the battery as shown here. holes and free electrons enter the depletion region due to repulsion at the respective terminals. The reduction of the potential difference and the width of this region causes a large number of majority charge carriers to diffuse across the junction. Holes travel to the right and electrons to the left, constituting a current in the same direction. Thus, the p-n junction allows current carriers to flow through it if the junction is forward biased. A device that allows the current to flow only in one direction is called a diode. Thus, p-n junction can be described as a diode.
So, Tutor Vista has made a very good video of how the p-n junction works and how the internal characteristics, internal physical processes are elaborated. I thank the GTU and BISEC for providing me the opportunity to present the lecture here, and the remaining part of this chapter, this unit, we will discuss in our next lecture. Thank you.